We are live on YouTube now. Very good afternoon to all our viewers. We would like to welcome a very young and talented person from the space of sustainability and CSR. He has been working as head of CSR for OakNorth India. He is a seasoned professional with over 18 years of Government of India and many state governments, including autonomous bodies. He has established and managed social enterprise and has also some of the best known Indian nonprofits. He has a master's degree in social work from University of Delhi, has received numerous award recognitions for his contribution to the communities. He loves to travel, unexplored spaces, especially in the mountains and the tribal areas. And he has traveled across India and has supported initiatives in some of the most undeveloped and aspirational districts in India. We would all like to welcome Mr. Tara Chand, the head of CSR for OakNorth. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
So how was your journey? You have from the development sector, from graduating from Delhi University in social work to joining Ministry of Rural Development, which is followed by working with some of the top NGOs as well as corporate sector.
Yeah, so, I got my campus placement with Ministry of Rural Development, Government of India, and there I worked with some of the senior most IAS officers, and there I worked for around 3.5 years, and I started my own non-profit after that, and then decided back to work with some organizations. So then I started working with the corporate houses up once I was done with establishing my own non-profit. So this journey has been great, when you get to work with, senior most IAS officers, some of the versatile CEOs and social sector leaders. So, this was my educational background and the experiences which helped me sustain in the development sector for over 2 decades now. And being a trained social worker, I was able to differentiate between the charity and the social development. My educational learnings gave me confidence to influence and convince the decision makers, whether they were in the government or in the non-profits or in corporate sectors. So so the journey you are talking about has been fantastic. It has been a great learning experience, which I think no other sector can provide.
Absolutely. That's great. And presently you're heading CSR for North Oak. So what have been the COVID-19 initiatives and what are the kind of NGOs you'll associate with?
Yeah, so today I work with the OakNorth India, and here basically OakNorth's mission is to empower growth businesses. We fund small and medium sector enterprises. So and we also work with various financial institutions to make commercial lending easier. So our mission is to empower growth businesses, as this makes the world more interesting, dynamic, and diverse to diverse place to live. To continue reinforcing the positive impact growth businesses have on communities and economies globally, OakNorth decided that we'll be donating 1% of our group profits to supporting charitable causes and socially minded enterprises. This excludes the mandatory provision made by Government of India under the Companies Act. So CSR is integral to our business. It is heart of our business operations globally. OakNorth supports multiple nonprofits with wide range of issues. So we fund nonprofits working on early childhood education and development, conservation of natural resources, female empowerment, education, particularly in STEM subjects, then social mobility and promoting entrepreneurship and mentorship. With COVID-19 pandemic, we have supported a lot of initiatives, and it includes we supported Akshay Patra to provide dry ration to Delhi NCR region and in Bangalore. We supported Seva Mandir to provide uh, hygiene kits and ration kits to tribal families in Rajasthan. We worked with the government of Uttarakhand, government of Delhi to provide them oxygen cylinders when these cylinders were not available anywhere. Then we have also provided oxygen concentrators to government of Delhi hospitals, hospitals in Punjab and Himachal Pradesh. We have also distributed medical supplies and including PPE kits to hospitals in Himachal Pradesh. And we are still continuing to provide nutrition to 1,000 children in Kotra block, which is one of the most backward blocks in Rajasthan. So that's what we have been doing, and I think we are one of the few companies who have vaccinated staff of non-profits. So these are the few initiatives we have undertaken on COVID.
Tara, in close to 2 decades of career in the development sector, which projects do you see are worth replicating or scaling up? You mentioned these projects. Which one are the worth replicating or?
Yes, interesting question. So, sir, what I believe, you have a long track record of, working in the development sector. So, what I believe, any project which, is done in participation with the local people, and, where local participation is involved, I think those kind of projects have a better chances of being effective and replicable. So I believe as we are taught in developmental institutions that the approach should be bottom up. So all the developmental work should be based on the local needs and priorities of the local people. Every village has a geographically they are different, so we can't have a policy, one size fits all kind of policy. So and also implemented in convergence in partnership with the community stakeholders and government is worth replicating and scaling. One of the projects which we did was adopt a village program, where we adopted a village and the village development plan was developed by the local villagers. They were the people, who, we even, I visited the village and, with them, we sat together and, planned, what kind of development they would like to see in the village. So that's how, I thought, if we have that kind of participation in project planning and, execution, even, for some of the infrastructure development project, which we, development initiatives we undertook in the village, the labor contribution came from the villagers. So that way, I think, where project like Adopt a Village, which we did, was one of the, most successful projects as, in terms of scalability and replicability.
Where was this project? Where was this project?
Sir, we did this in Uttarakhand.
Uttarakhand, okay, very nice.
Yeah.
Moving
it was
on.
a small, yeah, it was a small village. So, we were able to change the face of the village.
Very nice.
with limited resources. In hills, the population is not that big. Villages are very small, so we can do such kind of experiments.
Very nice.
Excellent. Sir, you all have also been active on tree plantation initiative. So who are the organizations that you're working with and what is driving it? What is your criteria when you select your NGO partners or your partners to work with?
Yeah, so currently, what happened, we wanted to do a project on tree plantation, and we were thinking, how to position it. Then we, thought of an innovative idea where, we started this project recently this year only, and we are doing this across our, office locations globally, including, UK and India. So these trees are planted on the work anniversaries of our employees. So we plant these trees in the name of our employees on their work anniversaries, which we call OakNorths. The idea behind this initiative is not only to thank our employees for their ongoing commitment and hard work, but also to do our bit to protect the environment and the planet. In India, we have planting fruit trees in partnership with the farmers, so that we can help farmers also in improving their income. When we select organizations, it's a big criteria we consider. So a very in-depth due diligence is conducted by the CSR team, where we looked at the legal status of an organization, whether they are registered in trust or FCRA registration they have a income tax registration. Now CSR registration with MCA has also been made mandatory. So now we are looking at that as well. Apart from that, we also look at the governance and management. How is the board? How board functions? How many times meetings of the board are called, and what is the role of the board? Who all are there in the management committee? How is the management? How is the leadership? Who leads the organization? Then do they measure the results? Are they conducting any third-party evaluations or impact assessments? How is the reputation in the sector? So we conduct a research on them. If there is some bad media coverage about the organization, or if there is any risk to our reputation. How is the financial health of an organization? Have they conducted or implemented a similar kind of project in the past? What is the idea? If they have any innovative idea, so we definitely consider that as well. Apart from we also look at how responsive an organization is. Sometimes we request a lot of organizations to share proposal with us, but very few respond to our queries and clarifications. So we look at these kind of capabilities of an organization before selecting them as a partner.
Wonderful. So apart from this work, I believe that you also encourage your employees to take up volunteering services on different kind of initiatives. Would you like to share something about it?
Yeah, so employee volunteering or employee engagement is an integral part of CSR. So we have different programs to engage employees in giving back to society. And these programs include skill-based volunteering, where our employees contribute their skills to the non-profits or to the communities. So we have employees who mentor students. We conduct painting. One is skill-based volunteering. Another one is the hands-on volunteering. So we, in skill-based volunteering, we encourage our employees to contribute their skills. People from IT, people from graphics, people from finance, they help the non-profits or the communities, with their skills. And in hands-on volunteering, we organize painting school programs, cleaning public parks, or cleaning schools. So these kind of drives we organize. We also organize donation drives for our employees, where employees donate books, or we last year we before COVID we did this wish tree program where non-profits came to our office and they placed a wish tree. Whatever their requirements were there, they placed those requirements on the wish tree, and our employees picked those requirements and funded to non-profits, or provided in-kind donations by purchasing those items. So and during this COVID, it became even more interesting. One of our employees in UK, he cycled around 100 miles in a day to raise funds for COVID relief in India. And we arranged oxygen concentrators and oxygen cylinders for our employees and their families. And entire this initiative of managing, concentrators and oxygen cylinders was done by the employees only. And we also keep organizing matching donation drives where organization matches equal to what is collected from the employees. So these are the few initiatives we do to encourage employee volunteering in our organization.
Wonderful. In the close to 2 decades of career in the development sector, you have worked with multinationals, governments, and as well as corporates. Where do you see is a trust gap, and how can the partnering agencies fill it? As I had earlier requested, what are the key indicators you look when you collaborate with an NGO?
Yeah, so see, I have worked with government also, and at that time, I think things were better, but trust deficit was there as well. So when I was working with them at that time also, government was planning to have an national accreditation organization for non-profits. So that trust deficit is there since long time. But what I feel, there is a saying in Hindi कि एक मछली पूरे तालाब को गंदा कर देती है. So what I feel that there are few organizations who have given bad name to the sector, to the non-profit sector, and because of them, there is a trust deficit. So what we can do, non-profits, they are important, to any society to raise voice for the poor and marginalized within the constitutional framework, but also creating a vibrant and inclusive society. They have an important role to play. In India, we do not have a dedicated law for non-profits. There are there is Trust Act, there is Society Registration Act, there is non-profit company provision is there in Section 8. So there's no one law, and in these laws, not only non-profits are registered, all kind of organizations are registered in these legislation, under these legislations, which includes even government bodies, which includes other kind of organization. Even RWAs are registered in Society Registration Act, or other pressure groups are registered in such kind of laws. So, there is no one dedicated law for the non-profit sector. So, I think all the stakeholders, whether they are government or non-profits, they need to work together. Non-profits need to work a lot on their governance, management, and transparency to bridge this gap. Corporates and government also need to create an environment of trust and avoid seeing non-profit as an ineffective and corrupt organizations. engage in misappropriation of funds. That's the impression most of the people have. We should not generalize this and should look at each nonprofit objectively without preconceived notions and personal biases. So a lot of people have these general opinions that all the nonprofits are corrupt, So I think we should get rid of that kind of thinking and biases. Government should also bring a policy for nonprofits. It was long time back in the Atal Bihari Vajpayee's government when this voluntary sector policy was brought. But after that, nobody has looked at it. So I think there is need to have a non-profit sector policy, and we need to promote. The government need to do a lot to promote volunteerism and encourage citizens to contribute to development of underserved regions and communities to restore this trust. I believe government initiatives on developing a socialist stock exchange and some other initiative government is taking is a welcome move to facilitate impact investing and bridge this trust deficit.
Wonderful. Now, IICSR is a dedicated institution for research, development, training, advisory, project implementation. We are established since 2010. What are the courses that you foresee that the upcoming manpower would require in the space of CSR and the existing manpower gaps, skill gaps?
Yeah, it's a difficult question because there are so many. I mean, changes happening on the ground. So I think to promote right kind of education, I think IICSR should focus on ESG analysis, and they should focus on courses more related to ESG, because that is the in thing. That is going to be a big thing in coming days, and how public policy, if you can include some certificate programs on public policy or on sustainability, ESG compliances, impact investing. I think that would be really interesting for the existing professionals who wants to grow in the ladder, and the students who wants to get into the development field or CSR field.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. We have some of these courses coming up, and I shall share with you the details about it. On this note, I may request some of my fellow panelists to also come forth and ask their set of questions. Dr. Upadhyay,
Sure.
Kumar, Johnny.
Mr. Tarachan, I think you are the right person. I have always been wondering now, with so many institutes coming up and doing rural development, studies and all, how do you see this whole course where people are a little shaky about the development sector? And as we understand now that with FCRA and others, almost 50% NGOs are under tension. How do you see this whole sector? And what is your advice to young people to join this sector?
Yeah, so see, I mean, it's not easy to work in development sector, to be very frank, and I strongly believe that only people who have empathy, have a passion to work for the underprivileged and marginalized, commitment towards society, and never to give up attitude should come to the field. And there are a lot of challenges. I mean, if you, apart from these, because I have seen this in my career, there are so many up and downs in your career when you work in development sector. So people should be ready for those up and downs. So if you can struggle, you can slog, only then I would advise that people should come to development sector. But I would say that there is no dearth of opportunity if you are hardworking, if you have right intentions. Then I think this sector is full of opportunities, and nothing is going to change with compliances. What I believe,
Sure.
compliances are not going to discourage people from coming into this sector. These compliances are like any other compliance, which we follow. I mean, these are like other laws and rules which we have to follow. So I don't think this is going to discourage people.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Mr. Tarachandji, you sometimes advocate that CSR should not be checkbook charity. Rather, it should adopt the approach of impact-driven social responsibility. So, can you briefly just share your thoughts once again?
So you are asking that, my thoughts on impact investing.
Yes.
CSR driven by impact investing.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, so that's what I have seen. When I started my career, CSR was not there. I entered in corporate world in 2008, and CSR was not there at that time. People who used to organize. It's not that people were not investing in communities or societies, but it was more like a charity where people used to organize, donation camps, or they were largely interested in checkbook charity, where not big involvement of corporates was not there. They simply used to do checkbook kind of charity. I mean CSR. But now things have changed, So he looks at the return on investment. So by impact investing, I mean with the kind of investment corporates or companies are making, what kind of returns you are going to produce with that kind of investment. So if you propose that you will be training X number of people and providing employment to Y number of people, if you are able to achieve that, then our investment makes a sense. If you are not able to achieve, then that we will not call an impact investing, or simply by donating to people, or distributing food, we don't consider that impact investing.
That's fine. How much amount North Oak Bank is investing on CSR initiatives?
So OakNorth is a bank in UK, not in India. So we are not listed. Yeah, we are not a listed organization in India. So it would be difficult for me to disclose the figures.
Just to update you, definitely in India, CSR laws came quite late, but I started my career in NTPC in 1983, and NTPC adopted CSR in 1989. And we set up a first NGO in NTPC, which is known as Chetna in 1989. And I was extremely happy to revisit after about more than 25 years, and Chetna being definitely working like Chetna.
Sir, Tata is doing it for ages. Yeah, there are many companies who have been doing CSR for centuries. So yeah, I mean this has been even the earlier time when the rich people, they used to give to temples, or to poor people, they used to feed, that a kind of charity for all these states or the traders, they used to that kind of charity. So I mean, so from charity things have moved further.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kumar, for the question. Ms. Parul Rai, aapka sawal.
Okay. Greetings, and it was a very eye-opener conversation. I thoroughly liked it. And let me tell, I'm from a background of advertising, as well as I was investigative journalist. So once when it was said ki we do this, I mean, we check up. So it really made me very keen now. And yes, as regards, I was into CSR activity as well of our employer. And at that point in time, through the club that I belong to, we did some activity. That is, in one day, we managed to, facilitate 1,000 children being immunized. And that was Rotary Club of Hyderabad, Akshay, where I was the charter president. I'm sorry, I'm giving in this kind of introduction to the work that could be done by a team of 30. So it's no big deal.
Great.
Secondly, 2000, this was in 1989. Then secondly, as recently as 2016, on 21st June Yoga Day, we conducted training camps in 8 schools with a team of 10. And, for one whole week, we taught them yoga, 4,000 plus students. Then we had YMCA, a Derasar, and a Yoga Institute. Plus, on the day itself, 250 other people joined. So overall, about 400 people within a week. Our Chief Minister, NTR, you might have heard about him. That is N.T. Ramarao. He was the father-in-law of Chandrababu Naidu. And he was the one who took up afforestation. I'm sorry, the pronunciation, I'm sorry. Yeah. And he also encouraged women, a team of women, which Naidu did. And although Naidu is not existing politically right now, but those group of women in Andhra Pradesh, then Andhra Pradesh, now is, of course, into 2 states. So they are managing, and in fact, all the NGOs, both the governments approach those ladies, take their opinion and start pilot projects, give them that. So this is what can be done by CSR activities. And in 2018, I was the one, as a single person, every Sunday I used to go in a park and distribute trees to
And what
students.
would be your question?
What I'm trying to tell, 3 things. I'm sorry, you're right to cut me down.
Has to be a question.
Yeah, I appreciate. Yeah. My question is this. If I want to give my time, where do I go? Part 1. Various fields, I can arrange teams. But what is the procedure? Part 1. How that could be arranged? Because since yesterday, I have joined a consultancy firm, which we are going to work with CSRs, with NGOs. So I'd like to have, this is very essential that I get a feedback or, the procedure, how, what, where. I would truly look forward to it. Thank you.
Yes. So what happens, how we identify partners, we, whenever there is a requirement of new partners, we do a research, online research, also based on the references, we identify organizations. And then we do conduct a due diligence on these organizations. And if these organizations, we ask them to share a proposal, and then we conduct the due diligence. And if these organizations, qualify the due diligence, then they are selected as partners. So in Hyderabad, we are working with Prajwala, which works on anti-trafficking. So we are working with Miss Sunita Krishnan, and that's how we identified them through our research based on internet research or references. We wanted to work with an organization working on women trafficking, sexual trafficking. So that's how we identified them, and we have been supporting them for the last 3 years.
But can I suggest something? Without supporting by funding, couldn't something be arranged? I mean, there are ways that we can do. I mean, I do that often. And yes,
I'll
why
share
should we
you
think
the
of
email ID.
supporting by funding? Sorry?
I'll
Yeah,
share
so
with you
ma'am,
the
you can
email ID of the.
write to me, or
Yeah.
I'll share my number with
Sure.
Harsha ma'am, and we can talk personally. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Share the coordinates. We have Mr. Johnny who also has a question. Thank you, Parul ma'am, for the question.
Yeah. Hi. Good evening, seniors. Uh, I have a question for Tara sir. Tara sir, as you rightly mentioned that ESG is the hot topic for the day for the future, and if you see every 3-4 days we read something about ESG. So how do you think ESG will impact the CSR? I mean, how do you think because of ESG, CSR activities will be carried out? The way it will be carried out, it will scope increase the scope, or it will go hand in hand? So how do you think it will impact CSR?
Yeah, so see, still, when you see it in India, the authority lies with the board of directors. The CSR committee is comprises by the board of directors. So still the authority is with the board. ESG, as it's a broader term, which includes CSR as well. CSR is just one component in ESG. When when you work on overall ESG components of an organization, then automatically I think CSR is going to be part of it, and is going to be impacted when government makes it mandatory, like SEBI has I think working on it to provide listed companies provide report on ESG parameters. So I think if we are working on ESGs, then CSR is definitely going to be improved.
Thank you, Johnny, for the question. Thank you, Mr. Tara, for addressing all the questions so patiently. Would you have a final message for all of us?
Yeah, so I think I already talked about that working in the sector is not easy. It takes a lot of patience, to reach certain level. A lot of struggle is involved. So I strongly believe that if we want to work for the people on the ground, then education is the key. If we are providing opportunities for education and mentoring, this could only change the fortunes of the underprivileged and marginalized kids. And a lot needs to be done to educate the underprivileged in the remote regions. Secondly, I would like to advise CSR leaders that we should go beyond simple donations. We should go beyond simple charity to areas where they can contribute. As a company, we can we definitely provide funds, but apart from funds, we can also share the skills of our teams. We can share technology, we can share our expertise, we can share our brand. There's so much companies can contribute apart from funding. So I think the CSR leaders should also look when they are supporting communities or CSR projects, they should look at that direction also, that funding, apart from funding, how we can contribute to make a project successful. And my advice to the companies would be that CSR is no more a charity. Companies should hire trained professionals. If they can't hire trained professionals, at least they should hire professionals who have a background in doing CSR or managing community projects. And this is the way how you can ensure that your programs are effective and you you are compliant to CSR norms. There are many organizations who are still not able to, fulfill their CSR mandate. They are not able to utilize CSR funds because they do not have the people having background in CSR or social development. So I believe that whoever is decision makers, if they are watching your program, they should hire trained professionals.
Thank you so much. It has been a pleasure interacting with you and learning so much from a young dynamic leader such as you. Thank you for joining us, and thank you to all of you all, Dr. Upadhyay, Dr. Mr. Sushil, Johnny, Ms. Barul, for joining us today for the session. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Harsha.
Sir.
Thank you, IICSR, and thank you, Upadhyay sir, for this opportunity. I'm always grateful for the kind of support you extend.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure being here.